Om Sri Sai Ram. Hearty welcome to Sri Satya Sai Lok Seva Gurukulam, 10th class state syllabus in science, sources of energy, part 2nd. And in the previous class we have learned something about this fundamentals of energy and also different forms of energy, how it can be changed from one form to another. For every small work from morning till night, even in the night also, energy is needed, right? And also we have seen how the energy can be conserved, what is called as conservation of energy. Energy can neither be created nor be destroyed, but it can be changed from one form to another. And also we have seen what are the good sources of energy, what are the qualities or characteristics of good source of energy. We have listed out all the important characteristics. Also we are discussing about the conventional source of energy. In that we have seen what is called as fossil fuels, its usages and disadvantages. When you say fossil fuels, we are referred as the coal, petroleum and natural gas. So, coal available plenty in India, petroleum also called as rock oil, and natural gas. We have briefly discussed about these are called fossil fuels, how they are useful in daily life. Also we have seen the disadvantages. The main disadvantage is that it is getting exhausted, and in this rate, if this is being used, say in a time of about 25 years or 30 years, all fossil fuels will come to a stop. So that is a danger. Then you must think of some alternative source also. Also we have discussed one more conventional source of energy called thermal power plant. In Karnataka we have got what is called Karnataka Power Corporation, and you have seen or you have heard about the power plant in Raichur, where the heat energy is converted into electrical energy. And how is that heat produced? By coal. So this is already we have studied about that. Now coming to the home assignments, first question, what is a good source of energy? And as we already listed out in the previous class, a good source of energy is one which does large amount of work in unit volume or mass. So more work. If any fuel or energy source does lot of work per unit volume or mass, then we say it is a good source of energy. Another one is it should be easily accessible, and so that you can use it in a maximum extent. It should be easy to store and transport from one place to another. Such source is called as good source. Also it should be cheaper, economical, means it should be cheaper, and if these characteristics are there, then we call it as a good source of energy. For example, if you say biomass, about which you are studying today is one of the good source of energy. Now, what do you mean by good fuel? A good fuel is one which gives lot of heat or energy and combustion. And one more characteristic that it should produce less smoke. When you say think of wood, especially some of you are coming from villages. In villages you have seen how wood is being made use of. Even though wood is a fuel, it gives lot of smoke. Therefore, it is not a good wood fuel. It should be easily available and easy for storage. One more example you can think of, LPG gas is a good fuel because it is easy for storage and nowadays available also, and should be less expensive. Then only we call such fuel as a good fuel, and it should be easily transferable. Means from one place to another we have to transfer it. If such a fuel is there, we call it as a good fuel. The last question is, if you could use any source of energy for heating your food, which one would you use and why? So, for cooking purpose, we have got nowadays so many types of fuels we are using. We have got electric furnaces, is it not? Electric stoves. We have got gobar gas stoves. We have got LPG stoves and so on. Out of these, which do you choose? So, we have to choose the easily available source of energy in our surroundings. So, biogas, about which we are going to study now shortly, is the most suitable and clean source of energy. Especially in a country like India, where you have about 6 lakhs of villages, this biogas is one of the successful source of fuel because it is clean also. When it is being used, smoke is not formed. And what is the gas that comes out there? Nothing but methane. So, this methane gas does not produce any smoke. The color also blue, you might have seen it. So, easy for use and its transport also is easy. It produces lot of heat that is required for the heating of our food, okay. So, there are many devices. Of course, this biogas plant may not be successful in cities, but as far as village is concerned, this is a very good source of energy. So, we can suggest that. Now, coming to today's topic, are you seeing the beautiful video here? This video is about hydro power plants. What will be hydro means what? Water. You heard about hydrogen. Hydrogen is a gas, formula H2, got from water. So, here we are referring about hydro power plants. What do they do? They convert the potential energy of falling water into electricity. So, this is one video which shows how this hydroelectricity is produced. Is it nice? Okay. I think some of you already visited some of the hydroelectric power plants. Of course, it is you cannot get electricity from all the dams what you have got in India. Very few dams produce electricity. So, what does it do? It produces electricity. How does it produce electricity? The flowing water is stored in dams, and that what is called as potential energy. And the water flowing, it is called kinetic energy. When it is stored, it becomes potential energy. The high potential energy is converted into electric energy when it is made to flow. So here, since there are a few waterfalls which could be used as a source of potential energy. For example, if you go to Jog, where is Jog? It is a place in Shimoga district, and there is a dam put for the Sharavati river. What is the dam called? Linganamaki reservoir. If you have not visited, you must visit once in a lifetime, because one of the beautiful spots in Karnataka where the river Sharavati falls from a height of for about 900 feet. One of the highest waterfalls in India. One of the beautiful spots, especially in rainy season. If you go, it will be a wonderful scene to see. In summer you can see some rainbows also forming, and there it was Bharat Ratna Vishweshwaraya was born in Mudenalli, an eminent world famous engineer who told, by seeing the water being wasted, he said, what a colossal waste of energy. He said, of course everybody was enjoying waterfalls, but Vishweshwaraya said he was not happy. So much of energy is being wasted. Then what he thought? He thought of putting a dam. That is what you see in Linganamaki reservoir. There what happens? The water that is stored in the reservoir is made to flow, what is called as penstoke. Like this it flows, and it is made to turn the turbine. So you can see the turning here, turbine, and this turning of turbine produces electrical energy. So what the turbine does? The mechanical energy is converted into electric energy, and that is what is called as dynamo or generator. So there will be a very huge amount of electricity is produced, and that is measured in terms of megawatts. This electric energy that is produced is stored in this transformer and transformed to different places by transmission lines. And the first hydroelectric power station was established in Shimsha, and it is in Mandya district. The project is called Shivanasamudram for the river Kaveri, the first in Asia where high amount of electricity is generated. And you must all salute to Vishweshwaraya for taking such a massive project. The whole of Karnataka should be grateful to him, because the light what you are using every day, nights, and all the power what you are using, majority from that Linganamaki reservoir. And there are so many others also, but not all dams. That is how the hydroelectricity is produced from the water. And in order to produce hydroelectricity, high raised dams Our mind can be compared to the flowing water. Now also you are sitting there and doing some mischiefs here and there, looking this side, that side. When you see some figure, you will be attracted. Or when some sound or any experiment done, you will be interested. Is it not? So, the wavering mind is to be controlled by putting dams, and that is what is called as dam of discipline. If discipline is there, the thoughts will be controlled, and then it can be channelized for different good purposes. Is it not? So also there will be big dams. Which is the tallest dam in India? It is Bakranangal, the river Sutlej. So it is the tallest. So these dams are constructed on the river to obstruct the flow of water. The flow of water is controlled by dams, and they collect water in large reservoirs. For example, if you go to Mysore, there is a very interesting and most famous place to be visited is KRS. What is KRS? Krishna Raja Sagara. It is a reservoir. It is formed by constructing a dam. Again, the thanks must go to Bharat Ratna Vishwesvaraya, who was the pioneer for this project. So, large reservoirs, the water level rises in this process. The kinetic energy of the flowing water gets transferred into potential energy. So, water which is flowing in the form of river is, when the dam is constructed, it is stored, then it becomes potential energy. The water from the high level in the dam is carried through pipes to the turbine. Just now we have shown at the bottom of the dam. I think you have observed one more thing. If you go to dam, please observe it if you have not seen it. The bottom of the dams will be wider in area. At the top, it is not so wide because the pressure of water which is stored will be very high. Therefore, the bottom will be very lot of area. Since the water in the reservoir would be refilled each time it rains. So when it rains, even the water gets exhausted of due course. When it rains, again the water will be filled up in the dams. Anyway, it is one of the interesting and most useful way of producing electricity, and in India also we are using it for production of electricity in a large scale. And if that energy, electric energy that is produced, can be used for all different purposes, and there are some limitations by using hydroelectric power. For production of hydroelectric power, dams are compulsory, and construction of big dams, certain problems are associated. The first one is dams can be constructed only in limited number of places, preferably in hilly regions. So you cannot construct dams at all places because there should be a strong support for water, and the dams also must be stronger enough. For that, hilly regions are preferred. Large areas of agricultural land and human habitations are to be sacrificed. So many villages will be submerged. If you go to Alamatti, have you visited Almaty? North Karnataka boys or girls who have seen it, Almaty. And in Almaty, that is in Bagalkot district, you can see very huge area of the dam, and it is called Lal Bahadur Shastri Reservoir. because it was that then Prime Minister Lalbur Shastri inaugurated that. And there you can see so many hundreds of villages were submerged in it, and by which lot of agricultural land also is submerged in water. So that is a disadvantage, and many people have to vacate their houses, have to vacate their lands and their animals and so on. And one more problem is large ecosystems are destroyed when they are submerged in the water because of dams. So plantations, animals, birds and so on are all destroyed because of the construction of dams. And one more thing is, the vegetation which is submerged rot under anaerobic conditions give rise to large amount of methane, which is also greenhouse gas. You heard about greenhouse gas, namely carbon dioxide, by which the ozone layer, the gas, will be the ozone layer, there will be leakage, there will be a lot of heat produced. All this is possible. By this, even methane also is a greenhouse gas. So because of the lot of vegetation, means plants, some useful plants, some useless plants also, all this will be in the water, buried under water. So they cause what is called as anaerobic conditions, means there will be no supply of oxygen when it is submerged in water. So all these plants will get spoilt, and by which methane gas will be produced, which will cause what is called as greenhouse effect. And also it creates problem of satisfactory rehabilitation of displaced people. If you go to Bagalkot, you might have seen the new town has been established for these people who lost their houses submerged in water. So in many cities it happened like that, where there are dams constructed. So very psychologically the people will not be ready to leave the place. So very difficult for people to vacate the places where they had there from so many centuries. So the problem of satisfactory rehabilitation. Rehabilitation means constructing of a new house, new lands, new setup is not a happy thing for many people. So that also causes some problems in case of dams. For example, for river Ganga, there is a dam constructed called Tehri Dam, and this Tehri Dam, as well we are listed out, has got so many problems. Even Sardar Sarovar project for river Narmada, you might have heard so many movements have started, Chipko movement and so on. They fought for that, against this formation of our projects like Sardar Sarovar project, named after Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. But of course, even though there are disadvantages, the advantages are more, and therefore it is inevitable that the people have to cooperate with the things, and these projects should be introduced. And for the conventional source of energy, importance in the technology, and there it comes what is called as biomass. What is biomass? It is an organic material made from plants and animals. The plants and animals, when they die or decay, a gas is formed, that is called as gobar gas, or also called as biogas. And this material of plants and animal origin is called as biomass. It includes garbages, the wastages of vegetables, fruits, etc., the industrial wastes, all these form what is called as garbages, and that is being made use of in the biogas plant. It also contains stored energy from the sun, so it is directly connected with sun also, and it is a very good source, but of course it is a very good source of energy, and because it is almost harmless, biomass can be converted into other useful forms of energy such as biogas called methane. So, methane is the gas that is produced in biogas, and the biogas is produced out of biomass. Since the starting material is mainly cow dung, it is popularly known as gobar gas. It is not having any dangers, not troubling anybody, and it is one of the best ways of using waste into useful material things. Okay. Now, when you say our biogas plant, here is one diagram. Is it nice? There are two types of biogas plants. Some of your houses may also have it, and government is giving a lot of concession, about 30%, 30 to 35% of concession is also given for all those who adopt this biogas plant. This is called fixed dome type biogas plant. Even there is one floating gas type where the tank will go up and down. You might have seen it. Here there is no up and down movement. It is a fixed concrete structure. Whole thing is made up of concrete. So there is no question of changing the biogas plant, it is called. Means a structure here. So here slurry is added. What is slurry? Slurry means, as now just me told, nothing but biomass. Biomass is mixed with water. Suitable quantity of water is added, that is what is called slurry. It is made to flow into this chamber wherein all the soil material is separated and only the biomass mixture is allowed to flow into what is called as gas tank. Here the gas is produced by the anaerobic fermentation without the presence of oxygen. So, all this is airtight. So, without oxygen the fermentation takes place where all the plant materials get converted into a gas, namely methane, and that is taken out from here. And this gas what is coming also is called as biogas, and that is taken into the kitchen or wherever necessary. And then the waste material also useful here, that comes out here in the form of what is called as fertilizer. So, very good fertilizer that can be given for use for the plants, for vegetables, for flowers and so on. So, this is a simple explanation of the biogas plant, and let us see some details about that. It is an excellent fuel as it contains about 75% of methane, and it burns without smoke. There will be no smoke here, whereas if you use firewood there will be smoke and there will be no residue, no formation of any black thing around this. So, its heating capacity is very high. It is measured in terms of what is called as calories. heating capacity is measured in terms of calories, and the uses being, it can be used for lighting also, for cooking also, and so many other things. And the slurry left behind is removed periodically, and it is an excellent manure. It contains nitrogen and phosphorus. So, nitrogen and phosphorus will be there in the slurry that is coming out. So, it will be very useful. It is a safe and efficient method of waste disposal. When you say waste disposal, it may be plant origin, animal origin, even the human waste also. Nowadays, that also is being used. Of course, it is a psychological problem. Anyway, it can also be made use of to produce gas. So, in Haryana, there is a village called Pura village, where all the heating and lighting in street lights also are met by biogas. So, anyway, biogas plant is one of the very good solutions in the crisis, for the crisis of energy, and it is a safe device. There is no danger at all, especially in villages. It is a very good boon. So, all those who have got lot of cow dungs, I think many of you have got cows in your house, right? So, the cow dung mixed with the waste plants, dry leaves, this and all, vegetables, fruits, waste products, all that put into this. That is what is called as slurry. So, there is a very good number of advantages. And coming to one more conventional source of energy, we have windmills. In olden days, the kinetic energy of the wind, is it nice? Can you all of you see it? You must also draw the diagram of both the biogas plant and also the windmill. Here you can see the beautiful blades of the windmill, right? And you can feel the wind that is coming, right? So, the kinetic energy of the windmills was used to lift water. So, in the olden days, especially in Europe, they were using this kinetic energy of the wind to lift water from the well, and in the flour mills also they are using it for grinding purposes. And now all over the world they use it for production of electricity. So, it is an environment friendly because there is no shortage of air. All the places of the world will have sufficient air, and that air, the wind energy, what we call, as you know, wind blows from higher pressure to lower pressure area. Of course, this can be implemented only in a windy area. For example, Denmark has the highest wind in the world. So, they have used this wind energy or windmills in a large extent. Even in India also, there are some places like Kanyakumari, lot of wind is there. You might have seen Tirupati, Tirumala hills, Chitradurga, many other places you might have seen these windmills. It looks to be very simple, but at the same time very expensive also. But it is very convenient form of energy which can be used. So, a windmill is essentially consists of a structure similar to a large electric fan, something like a fan. It has got 3 blades and erected at some height of a rigid support. There will be very big support. And how does it work? To generate electricity, the rotatory motion of the windmills is used to turn the turbine of the electric generator. So when the wind blows, the blades start rotating. When the blades start rotating, the belt that is connected to the blades is connected to what is called as turbines. And these turbines are made use of, the mechanical energy is converted into electric energy, and hence it produces electric generator. So, a number of windmills, of course one windmill, the production of electricity will be very less, say about 1 megawatt, but that is not sufficient for many purposes. So, what they do is, number of windmills erected in large area, they are called as wind energy farms. You might have seen wherever the windmills are produced, for example in a Koppal campus, if you go there, you can find lot of windmills, not one, because they are all interconnected, so that the energy production will be more. The energy output of each windmill is a farm coupled together to get electricity for commercial scale. In India, the largest wind energy farm has been established in Kanyakumari in Tamil Nadu, where there will be production of 380 megawatts. The electric energy measured in terms of what is called as watts, and that is a formula. Watts power is equal to work done, rate of work done, W by T, and that is joules per second. So, 1 joule per second is called as 1 watt. A higher unit of watt is kilowatt, 10 to the power of 3 watts. Still higher is megawatt, so 10 to the power of 6 watts. So, in Kanyakumari we get about 380 megawatts of energy. In India, if you introduce this, it may produce about 35,000 megawatts. If all the wind is made use of in different places, so most of our energy problems will be solved. But it is a very expensive one. Let us see some of the disadvantages or limitations of harnessing wind energy. First one is, it should be established only the places where wind blows for a greater part of the year. Of course, in some seasons like Ashada, what you call, there will be wind blowing more, but not at all times. So, you must select such places where greater part of the year, means most time of the year, the wind should be blowing fast, and should be, the minimum speed should be 15 kilometers per hour. Otherwise, it won't produce electricity. Simply bam, blades will be rotating. Only if the speed is 15 kilometers, then only electricity is produced. Therefore, you must select such places which you are not getting in at all places at all times. There should be some backup facilities, storing capacity should be there. That can be done by storage cells, because the time there is no wind, when there is no wind, these cells will have to work out, because for rotation of blades also electric energy is needed sometimes. Therefore, the backup facilities can be done by storage cells, and that is also one of the important problems as far as windmills are concerned. The cost of establishment of the farm is also quite high. It is almost 1 crore for one windmill. It may cost about 1 crore rupee. So, very expensive, and it will take a lot of area also. Should not be agricultural land, some waste land should be selected. Like that, there are some limitations, but in spite of that, one of the very good sources of energy where you can get electricity for a large extent, to a large extent, and maintenance, high level of maintenance needed for the tower and blades as they are exposed to vagaries of nature like rain, of sun, storms, etc. The rainy season, there will be a lot of disturbance. Even you might have heard about birds. So many birds will come and attack. They will not be knowing that there will be windmill. They will be flowing freely, but they will attack. So that is a disturbance. Similarly, when the storm is there, sometimes the storms will come. There will be lot of variations in the wind speed. So that are some of the disadvantages. So for that, maintenance is a very important issue. With all this, it is a very good alternative source of energy, right? So these are the disadvantages. Now let us see some home assignments. First question, what are the disadvantages of fossil fuels? Namely coal, petroleum, natural gas. Why are we looking for alternative source of energy? Third question, how has the traditional use of wind and energy, water energy been modified for our convenience? Okay, come prepared, you go through this and practice those two figures also, and I wish you all best of luck. Thank you.